If you're a solopreneur and you're thinking that just launching your product is sufficient and that's the finish line for you, I have to break it down to you that it's not that simple. The reason I say this is because most of the time you have to build some momentum in order for you to get some traction with your product and or your marketing style. And if you have a system that supports that, you will be able to get some leverage. Now, most of the time, a lot of solopreneurs, they start out, but they quickly get burned out. The reason is they don't have a system. They may be posting videos, they may be doing some reels or running some ads, sometimes even writing newsletters. But in the end, if none of those have systems, what you're going to get is either burned out or eventually you get stuck because you have too much to do and you don't have a repetitive system of which you can rinse and repeat in order to get the most outcome as possible from whatever you're trying to achieve. Okay, so for you to keep doing your launches, you keep promoting your offer, trying to open and closing the carts or the available seats, etc., you have to have a systematic way of doing it so that in the end your leads or your followers also see that you are a premium level service and or product of which not everyone can find throughout the year. In other words of saying, if you have a product that people can find throughout the year, it's going to be very, I would say, easy for them to think, oh, I'll get it later. But if they can see that there is a certain time that they need to act, otherwise, if they don't act, they lose out or they suffer the consequences of not getting or locking in that pricing. Logically, they're going to take action real fast because they know that you're serious and potentially you might also be not posting that offer anymore within the future. So therefore, they act now. Okay, so for you to untrain your corporate mindset or your employee mindset, you need to focus on developing systems in order to produce marketing content, but at the same time build the product as best as you can. So what we have to do here is turn the product into an offer engine. Now, turn the product meaning you have one product, but you sell it in different formats. So that will ideally turn your offer into many different, I would say, formats of which you can deliver to the lead. So the lead, let's say, if they're not able to get your coaching or get your mentorship, etc., they could probably buy the course or the program. Now, if you're not able to do that, they can buy a workshop. If they're not able to do that, they can jump onto your newsletter, etc. Okay, so that's how you wanna see it as. So a product, if you just leave it and you don't modify it, you don't improve it, it's just gonna collect dust. Now an offer engine is gonna collect buyers. The reason is it keeps pushing your buyers through the system that sells it for you, which means again a clear promise that you give to people that want to leverage the same thing that you're doing. It helps you define your avatar. It gives you a simple path of which to help guide your leads through, and at the same time it gives them a reason to act now. As I said, not thinking about, oh, I'll get it later, but thinking about how can I get it now, because if I don't get it now, I will suffer the consequences of not getting it at all or losing the pricing that you have right now. Okay, so when the offer is precise and automated, it becomes impossible for you to not get a sale. Okay, now if you're manually posting, you want to think on, now that you have an offer, you know that you need to position it and market it with a system in order for you to get consistent leads. Now you need consistent distribution. The only way you're able to do it is if you leverage a platform. In this case, I use a tool called Metricool. Okay, now you can see the example calendar below, and with this calendar, I'm able to create a newsletter, schedule the newsletter content onto social media platform with the link to people to subscribe, and with this I jump between again the evergreen value loops, also the pre-sale sequence. Okay, so either I'm posting content that is insightful and that is I would say personal lessons or personal perspective and opinions about certain things, and that has a link that goes to the newsletter. And with that, once they get into the newsletter, my system is going to pre-sell my offers. With this, it's going to go after people that are retargeted, meaning from the survey, when people get into my newsletter, I can understand who I'm talking to. So therefore, I use that in my content. And with that, I create short form content. Either it's on a format which people can read, it's on a carousel, or it's on a reel. And with that, I also incorporate those things into the YouTube videos. So with this, it helps me understand, okay, exactly what I'm posting here, as you can see by my calendar, on a daily basis. And I only post one content every single day, and that content varies again from personal lessons, it varies from perspective, opinion, and many other are different angles. Okay, so how do you do the launch in a manner that is evergreen? Okay, in order for you to get consistent conversions, the way you do it is by having, again, as I talked about, a system of which promotes your offer, but at the same time talks with your audience in different angles. So you want to warm up the audience, nurture them if possible, presenting your offer and closing the sale. Okay. Now the way I do it, in order for me not to sound salesy or push the idea of a sales call, is by having a cycle. Okay. Now if you see here, that cycle I call like a flywheel. It's a multi-touch ecosystem which basically starts with the strangers getting attention. I walk followers through or subscribers through the conversion cycle, and with that I acquire those leads and turn those leads into a someone that is warm audience or nurture audience, etc., because they raise their hands, they are wanting to become a client. In the idea of the offer, I plant that seed of wanting to make a bigger impact. Why? Because the purpose for me and building my offer is for helping people achieve a greater purpose in life. That is to enjoy life, having income freedom, having the location freedom, and being able to contribute something bigger than just a sale or a product to someone. So ideally, I want to help people to that wants to make a bigger impact, and I get case studies from them, and then I share my case study with strangers again on social media platform, and then the cycle repeats. So this is how I get the sales without being salesy, right? And the system that sustains it is the Beehive system. So with this, it gives you a very clear and brief understanding how I have this all set up, and how you can also set it up by making sure that your launches makes money not only once, but you leverage a system that keeps the money coming. And the only way you're doing it is by leveraging a system like this. And this is what I call my multi-touch ecosystem. Now with this in mind, again, you can build it out. It's very simple, but at the same time it requires a bit of work to do the setup. So the three tools I use in order for me to have the setup is this: the pre-sale engine, which is on Beehive, which helps me automate everything on the back end. You have the WAP system, which sells the product and from there achieves, or at least you get to receive a percentage of those products that are being sold. So it has a compounding effect. As they grow, you grow as well in your income. And then the partnership Beehive. Partnership or Refine, sorry. The partnership or Refine allows you to tap into many people's newsletter and then attract that specific demographic of the audience onto your newsletter so that you can get leads on demand without having to run after people, pitching people, or DMing people, or spamming people's inbox. All right. So with this, guys, I'm gonna leave you with this idea, but the main thing is that if you want to be able to sell your offer without being salesy, and in order for you to leverage an automated digital product sales system, this will be the best option that you have, not only for you to promote that on social media, but also for you to be able to sustain that within your newsletter platform. All right, so that's it for the video. See you on the next one, and thanks very much for watching. Take care.